Hi there, so we're moving on to lesson 3. We're going to use the expanded subtraction method to solve subtraction calculations. So as per usual, we're going to start on here where I'm going to talk you through the slides. As always, scroll back through them to use them when you're doing your own, to give you a little bit of a refresher if you need it. They're really useful, all colour coordinated, and I'll just talk you through them now. Okay, so the expanded column subtraction method, a bit like the expanded column addition, gives us a bit more understanding about what's going on when we're doing column subtraction properly, which we'll look at tomorrow. So what we're going to do today is basically get the understanding, so we know that when we're doing our column subtraction tomorrow, we know what's going on. So we've got here calculation 87 minus 23. Underneath, I've partitioned my numbers into my tens and my units. So I've got 87, which is 80 and 7. I've got my 23, which is 20 and 3. I do my calculation, which is start with my units. I always start with my units. 7 take away 3 equals 4. And then I've got 80 take away 20, and that will give me 60, equaling 64. Recombine those together to get 64 as my answer. Sometimes with column subtractions, they don't work as neatly as that. Okay, and this is what we'll look at now. So this calculation, we've got 75 take away 37. I write it out in the same way. I partition it. So I've got 70 and 5 and 30 and 7. Start off with my units. 5 take away 7. I hit a problem. I can't do it. So what I need to do is I need to steal 10 from over here. So my 75, I'm going to steal 10 and move it over here. So my 70 becomes 60, and then my 5 becomes 15, because that's 10 more. Now I'm in a position where I can do 15 minus 7 equals 8. And now I can do 60 take away 30, which is 30, and then I can recombine those back together to get my answer, which is 38. So I've had to steal one here. We'll look at that in a bit more detail on the big board. But another one which is slightly bigger a calculation now. So now we've got calculation 723 take away 356. Do exactly the same thing. I partition my numbers, so I've got 720 and 3. And I've got 350 and 6, and I go through exactly the same method. I've just got a little bit more, a few more numbers to deal with. So I've got 3 take away 6 to start with. I can't do 3 take away 6. It goes into negative numbers, and that doesn't work in column subtraction. So I've got to steal one. So I go to my tens column next door, and I steal one. So I steal that 10. So that becomes 10, and that can now become 10 more at 13. 13 take away 6 I can do. Gives me 7. And now go on to this column, onto my tens, and I've got a problem again because I've got 10 left up here, but I can't take away 50 without going into negative numbers, so I need to steal one again. So I jump into my hundreds column, and I've got 700 on here, so I steal 100. So that becomes 700 becomes 600, and this becomes, instead of 10, becomes 110. Now I'm in a position where I can do my calculation properly, so I can do 110 take away 50 gives me 60, and then I've got 600 take away 300, which of course gives me 300. So that is, then I can recombine that 367 to my answer up here of 367. Okay, so we'll jump on the board now, run through a couple together, and then we can, like I say, you can use these to come back to when we're doing our, when you're doing your own with your dice. See you in a sec. Bye. Okay, so we're on the big board now, so I'm going to do column subtraction and using the expanded method. So we'll walk through an easy one to start off with. So let's do 84 take away 43. Okay, so when doing the expanded method, what I'm doing is I'm partitioning these numbers into their different components. So I'm going to do 84, so I'll do 80 and 4. And then I'm going to do 40 and 3. 40 and 3. Okay, start off with my units, because I always start off with my units. 4 take away 3 gives me 1. 80 take away 40 gives me 40. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, recombine those together to give me the answer 41. So there's my expanded method on a 2-digit take away a 2-digit. sometimes with column subtraction things get a little bit trickier. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a 3-digit take away 3-digit, and we're going to have to steal across a boundary. So let me show you what I mean by that. So let's start with a calculation. Let's start with 178 take away 59. Okay, so there's my calculation. So I'm going to use green for my hundreds when I'm doing my partitioning down here. So I'm going to do 100, and then I'm going to use pinky purple for my tens, which is going to be 70, and then I'm going to use blue for my units, which is 8. So I've partitioned that number down, I've broken it down into 100, 70 and 8, and now underneath I'm going to break down this number. I haven't got any hundreds in there, so I'm straight on to my tens, which is 50, and then I'm going to go on to my blue for my units, which is 9. Okay, so now I've set it all out, I can start my calculation, but I've got a problem straight away. 8 take away 9, I can't do it. I can't go into negative numbers. If my number on the top of the calculation is smaller than the number on the bottom, I can't take that away. I can't do 8 take away 9. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to be a bit cheeky, and I have to go across here, and I'm going to have to steal 10. So that 70 will become 60. Now I've got a 10 onto 8, it's going to become 18. So that 18 now is bigger than that 9, so I can do 18 take away 9, which gives me 9. Okay, I'm on to my 10s now. 60 take away 50, I can do that. Okay, I can do 60 take away 50, it's going to give me 10. At this point, if you want to do a jotting, or you want to do a do it in your head, do it in your fingers, it's absolutely fine however you want to do it. So 60 take away 50 is going to give me 10, and then I've got 100 take away nothing, okay, which is going to leave me with 100. Okay, so from there all I need to do is I need to recombine these together to get my answer, which is going to be 119. So 100, I've got my 10, now I've got my 9 units, 119. 178 take away 59 is 119. Expanded method down here. Okay, so for you to have a go up here, if you've got your dice, you can generate your numbers. Okay, so let's say you generate, say let's do a 3-digit take away a 3-digit number. So you might generate 143, and you might generate 356. Okay, like that. So then what you've got to do, what you've got to remember now, is you've got to do your biggest number take away your smallest number. So you're going to have to swap those around. You can't do 143 take away 356 and use this method. So your calculation will have to be 356 take away 143. Okay. Once you've done that, you can start then setting it out as you would in the column in the expanded method. So I'm partitioning and breaking this number down. 300, 50, and 6. And underneath I'm going to break that number down into 100, 40, and 3. Okay. 6 take away 3, I can do that. So I've got 6 take away 3 gives me 3. 50 take away 40 gives me 10. And then 300 take away 100 gives me 200. And I can recombine those together. 213. Okay. Column subtraction expanded method. So we're going to do one more together. Underneath here, we're going to go for a 4-digit take away 3-digit, and we're going to have some stealing going on as well, just so you can get an understanding of what we need to do there. So let's do 1,000. No, in fact, let's do 2,481 take away 738. So even though I'm using a 4-digit on this one, it's exactly the same method in the expanded method. I'm breaking those down. It's good practice, good partitioning, good to refresh you on that. So that's 2,000. That's 400. That's 80. And that's 1. And then underneath, I've got no thousand, so I'll leave that blank. And then I've got 700, 30, and 8. Okay, when doing the column subtraction in the expanded method, it's really good. Do your numbers a bit bigger. Give yourself plenty of space. Don't squash it up. Okay, so that makes it 1 take away 8 is my first one. I can't do that, so I'm going to have to go do some stealing. So I'm going to go to the next column, which is my tens column, and I'm going to steal 10 from there. So that 80 is going to become 70, and that 1 will then become 10 more, which is 11. So 11 take away 8. Do it in my head, do it with my fingers. 8, 9, 10, 11. I know that's 3. Okay, moving on to my tens column. 70 take away 30. 30 to get to 70, what have I got to add on to that? 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, so I'm adding 40. So 70 take away 30 is 40. Now, 400 take away 700. I can't do it, so I'm going to have to go and say I'm going to do it exactly the same way. 2,000, but this time I'm going to steal 1,000. It's going to become 1,000. And 400 is going to become 1,400. Now, when you get into numbers like this, you might want to do a jotting on the side. If you can't do it mentally, a jotting can always help. So let's have a little go here. So we might have, say, well, I've got 700, and I need to get to 1,400. And I might think, well, like we looked at yesterday, to get to that 1,000, I'm adding 300. And then to get to that, to get to 1,400, I'm adding 400. So my numbers there, 300 add 400 is 700. So 1,400 take away 700 must be 700. And then I've got 1,000 take away nothing. 1,000. Okay, so I recombine those all together. I've got 1,743. Yeah, so that's the expanded method. We're going to go on tomorrow to the standard method, but really make sure you've got this one down first, because the column subtraction that we look at tomorrow is a bit of a trick, whereas this gives you the understanding, which is why it's so useful. Remember when you're rolling your dice to make sure that you've got your biggest number first. If you roll your digits and the smallest has come first, swap them over so your calculation and your method will work. Scroll back through if you need to use the slides, because they explain those as well. Or obviously just look at that for a little bit of guidance as well. Okay, see you tomorrow for column subtraction, the normal version. Cheers, bye.